Heyo, my Planet Coaster friends! Johnny 5 Live here, and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster 2 Coaster Spotlight. Today we're going to be looking at an assortment, a coaster bundle series, 4 different roller coasters, an industrial aviation coaster, another industrial coaster, a horror steampunk, as well as a music stage coaster inspired by Def Leppard, the ride. Included in here, we have a single rail coaster, a drop dive, a looping, and a launch coaster. So a great variety, a great assortment of incredible coaster layouts here to check out. So let's delay no further and get right on into it. All right, welcome everybody to another coaster bundle spotlight. We're gonna walk around in first person yet again. We're gonna be kicking things off with Stunt, created by a builder in this community named Yoshi. And this is our launch coaster for the day. It's the Industrial Aviation Coaster. We have this cool little hangar bay coaster station, Hangar 17. Cool little aesthetic using some of those like submarine aquatic pack pieces. Really cool to see that there. And let's see what, ooh, this is quite nicely lit. Yeah, I like this. Let's see what the creator has to say about the creation once we get over onto the actual coaster here. Sneak by everybody. And we got the big giant single rail back there in the background. Love to see it. Oh, I'm gonna have to cut to the next one when it's ready. All right, let's see what our creator Yoshi has to say about their creation here today. Oh, well, wow, a lot. I'm not gonna be able to watch the coaster. Stunt is a Vekoma LSM Vector 4-seater in-game launch coaster. Really wanted to try and see how much I could push the limits of new smoothing and coaster building in Planet Coaster 2. So everything was put together using a 4-meter method. I don't think that's necessary anymore, to be honest. Plus the new back and forth smoothing tool. Quite frankly, I'm blown away with how crisp and clean my elements came out compared to that of the first game. As for the theme park itself, since Vector 4-seater is very themed in-game with the jet cars, I figured I would lean into it. The ride replicates something you'd see at the regional theme park without a huge budget to build cohesive story experience. What's happening here? I'm getting smacked in the face from the corner of my eye. But enough to make the Q station interesting. As the rider, you've been invited to ride along in the aerial test for the highly maneuverable jet. I've always been a lot better with building roller coasters than theming, so I'm working on taking some baby steps in the direction of a much more detailed builds accompanying my rides. Any feedback on how to give walls more depth and texture, and generally how to improve, is much appreciated. Thank you so much. So before we ride this again, because I didn't get to actually see it, I did see from the corner of my eyes some trees. I don't know if that's some of the stuff from the creator, or if that was from my staging, or actually maybe something left over from the original park. I feel like it has, so sometimes when you place this stuff down, the map is not perfectly flat, so there might have been a hill there. See, like this stuff might have been kind of pre-existing before I placed the blueprint. It looked to me like everything was okay, but I must have missed that little corner bit. So that's all fixed now. That's all good. I would like to ride the coaster again, and we can give you guys a different perspective for my first time ride because I was reading. But yeah, this is a cool like jet coaster car. Let's do a track view for the smoothest ride experience possible. They mentioned doing like a 4-meter smoothing method. Shout out to Silverette. I checked out one of their videos and they said it's doing all that 4-meter smoothing shenanigans. Whoops, I was on fast forward. Is not really necessary in Planet Coaster 2 anymore. You can smooth by like 2-meter increments, 2-meter segments. That's the recommended way to do it. But yeah, the smoothing tool is a lot better in this game compared to Planet Coaster 1. And so far, of all the Coaster Spotlight bundles I've done, I've probably, up until this point of featuring the 4 today, I've probably seen about almost 20 coasters now. I don't think I've found a single coaster yet that's been janky, unsmooth, rickety, needed more smoothing, and that sort of thing. And even this one here, a really good, clean ride experience. I like the trigger event on the doors, automatic opening doors. love to see it. This creator wanted some feedback in terms of building. I definitely recommend checking out some of the upcoming blueprint spotlights that we're going to be featuring. You're going to see what some of the experts, masters, and legends are kind of producing in terms of their builds. We just got to give it a little bit more time, see what people are building. I think these hangar bays do the job. They're hangar bays. They're 4 walls and a roof made out of corrugated metal, right? And you put some decorations and props on the inside. That's like a good start. You have Stunt on the front of the welcoming for the coaster sign. And yeah, I mean, this building is a little bit more dynamic. You have the bigger one with the smaller one and kind of changing the undulating shapes of the build. So I think this is a pretty great start. I would just probably put some flooring in here so that it's not like a grass floor. The hangar's well lit in here. You have some props and doodads off to the side. The only thing that's bugging me is honestly the floor. And is there actually a floor if we push the terrain down? No, there's not. So that's not hidden underneath my terrain by sinking it in too deep. In terms of aesthetic, I've said this about other ones in the past. Like, is this one of the ones I put notes on? No, it wasn't. But the actual footprint for this coaster in particular, if we go to our source creations, the footprint's pretty big, as you can see, right? And I've mentioned this in the past that like it's not really that necessary to include all of this terrain when in fact we can use the new brush tool in this game to add in these trees really quite quickly. Just whoop. It's better to give people the option, like if I'm trying to place this in my park, all these trees are going to end up overlapping and getting in the way of where I want to place it. So if we go ahead and like trim down all of these trees and like just get rid of them entirely, what I would probably do is focus on the exterior aesthetics of the coaster. Get in some nice fencing, get in some facilities, maintenance, sheds, extra bay where you have extra coaster cars in there with switch tracks and all that. Just like a little bit focusing more on the aesthetics of the coaster rather than the nature and scenery. Wall that in, get some fencing around there, and from there it's a nice clean footprint that I can place into my park, and I don't have to worry about all these trees that I have to delete later that are going on top of other rides and things that I've placed. And then if I want, I can add those trees in myself. So just like cleaning up that footprint, I think what you've done in terms of like builds and scenery is quite fine for what you were going for, and that sort of thing. So I think it's a pretty strong start for a builder that's new to this community. So really good job there, Yoshi. All right, next up, we're headed over to the Coachwhip, a single rail, a massive single rail at that. That's quite the lift on that. Now, there's some jank going on here. We can talk about that after. We're going to just ignore that, but there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the Coachwhip, created by So Schizo, an advanced builder in this community, and this is their industrial coaster, and we'll read what they have to say as soon as we can get on to the next ride. For a single rail, I definitely want to check out the front bumper view on this guy. All right. So Schizo says, a Coachwhip, aka Red Racer, type of snake, inspired single rail coaster with industrial theming. Lots of twists and turns like slithery snake, 2 huge drops, and a loop and an inversion. Loop/inversion, sorry. And yeah. It says here, oh, I do have some notes on this one as well when I was placing it, so we'll talk about that after. But let's, for now, check out the coaster. Again, we're forgetting audio in a lot of these rides, in a lot of the spotlights so far. Of the almost 20 coasters we've seen on the show so far, I think only maybe less than 3 have remembered to use music. And we have all this amazing new music in Planet Coaster 2, so I'd love to see that included going forward, if you guys can remember to do that. Just another layer of customization that you can add to this. Wow, this single rail is ridiculously smooth compared to that of Planet Coaster 1. I don't think that lift hill was necessary. You could have brought that down the lift just, or the hill just a little bit. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have added a chain lift there. Would have been nice to kind of just get a little bit of hang time if you lowered that a little bit. Because are we going to need the speed? Let's find out. No, we're going right into a block section. Or brake section. Yeah, that's definitely not necessary. Especially, like, we put that lift in, right? We did nothing with it. right? We did absolutely nothing with it. So if that just came up and over, we would have had enough speed to get back into the station, and all of that lift hill, we just trim all of it anyways. And honestly, it's probably a little bit too much speed here. We probably would have wanted some uppy downy stuff in there as well, just to make the layout a little bit more interesting. It's not the most interesting layout, but it was a nice test to see the single rail. I like this little upside down bit. That was kind of fun. But the actual single rail itself, would like to see a little bit more of track length to that, more of a layout, coaster going in and out of itself a little bit more to make it more dynamic and interesting, and get a feel for the banking turns and rolls that this single rail is capable of. Footprint for this one was really, let me see here. Oh, you can see it there. It's a lot going on. And I guess I've already kind of talked about this. It's quite literally a third of the map size. Like, if this is my sandbox, yeah, it's about a fourth or something. It's just so big when it doesn't need to be. But I also think that's partially due to the layout spreading out so much, right? We could definitely compact our coaster a lot more and do and if we're gonna go this big, we can do a lot more with the speed generated off that massive lift, right? Especially if we're gonna add in a second lift as well. So I would have definitely stretched out the layout a lot more on this one. You also included staff facilities like the power and stuff. I don't know how necessary that's going to be. I think if people are going to put this into their career mode gameplay, they're probably gonna power it themselves and find a better spot to do the powering. And not only that, somehow put this path, the staff facility path, lower than the path that you included for the Coachwhip. But a pretty strong effort there, and a great example, our first example of the single rail coaster in Planet Coaster 2. So what do we have here next? This looks kind of terrifying. The tilt track on there. We're looking at the Scream Factory. Maybe we should go to nighttime on this one for the Scream Factory. Ooh. Oh, I like this. Just a little bit of the sun rising there, giving us that orange sky. We have this orange smoke going on there. Yes, this was created by Dankster 0725, unranked. So now we're going to move you straight up to Builder. It's a dive/drop coaster. It's a tilt drop. So the queue on this one was a little bit... This is it here. So there is something included, which I like, and I was able to just clip it to my plaza. However, it came with this janky cut up broken plaza. So I'd probably just clean off this bit and just leave the black bit there and clean up that blueprint a little bit so that when I place this down, it's just like this, but it came with this. So just a little bit of cleanup there. In terms of screen factor, I like the steampunk aesthetic you got going on here. Little scary arm dude or whatever that is. I'd like to see a little bit more of that included here in the queue, but not too bad. Let's go on inside. Whoa, this is dark. Whoa, this is claustrophobic. All this metal's very menacing. Oh my goodness. For this one, we could definitely check out the coaster stats since I'm not walking in. There's a look at them if you want to pause it and look at it. 131 kilometers per hour off that drop. And does it say the max drop on this? 52 meters is our biggest drop. So this one's coming up right now. We're going to go seat view for this one. Tilt and drop. Let's go. Look at that sunrise. That's so cool. The red foggy holes. Aha! What's that even made out of? I see like all these Planet Coaster logos. It's a bit strange. Wow, you can't even see through that fog. That is kind of cool. I can see some interesting ways of using that. I kind of wish you put the fog, more of the fog, through the entire tunnel. So we have a traditional corkscrew style track on this one. Just one inversion back into the station after the drop. Not too bad. For somebody that's never built anything in Planet Coaster, brand new to the game, trying to feature a little bit of everything, give everybody an opportunity to get their stuff spotlighted. And he also gives us some talking points, right? So I definitely want people to know where like the bar is set in terms of spotlights. I'm trying to get like, it's the early days of Planet Coaster 2, so I want to see what everybody's building. But in terms of like a creation like this, I'd like to see a better track layout, more intricate track layout going on here with a little bit more theming. I do think like the aesthetic you're going for here is cool. It just needs to be pushed further. That, and when I go to bring it into the game, this is the problem I'm faced with, right? So in the future, if I see a creation like this, I'll just probably delete it and not bother to check it out. One, it's almost impossible for me to place. What I actually had to do for this one was I had to put it into a blank park, delete all the trees and re-upload it as my own blueprint. I didn't upload it to the workshop, but I just made it in my game so that it has none of that stuff. But as you can see, it's pretty much impossible for somebody to download this and place it in their parks without having to, you know, open up a separate map and delete all the crap and put it in. Most people will just be like, nah, I'm not going to bother with this, right? So it is like a kind of annoying. So if you really, I want you guys to, in the future going forward, to sell me your creations, right? Have a really good image on the workshop that really showcases it. Multiple images as the workshop is starting to run a little bit faster now. The more images, the better. And then try to push that coaster layout, push that coaster theming, include a really decorative queue, good lighting for nighttime, music on the coaster. These are all the boxes that you want to check going forward for future coaster spotlights. But in this case, I definitely want to see what the newer builders are making and try to provide that feedback. I think this is a good opportunity to say all these things so you guys know what to expect in the future, so that I don't get these messages like, how long until my creation is being featured, or how come you haven't featured me yet? Well, checking those boxes is why going forward, right? So hopefully that feedback is helpful and helps you guys understand what I'm looking for going forward. Now, next up, we have Leppard, the ride created by Knight Rider, an advanced builder in this community. And it's a music stage. And they say here, this is my Planet Coaster iteration of one of the rides I've been working on since Rollercoaster Tycoon 3. Rock along the music of Def Leppard as you ride high, flying, standing in the standing coaster. No music included, so use your imagination. Now, I'm sure Planet Coaster 2 probably has some sort of rock and roll, right? Song, I would hope. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, like we can't even put Def Leppard on the coaster. Is this nighttime? So weird. The nighttime lighting in this game is so weird, right? This stage should look amazing at night, but like the blue sky is kind of like screwing it up. Or maybe it's just overlit, but the stage is really good. I think this is like an awesome little queue blueprint. I wonder if we can make actual band. I don't know how many animatronics are in the game, but you could probably make some yourself. Where are these guys going? How come they're not using the queue? This is the queue, but nobody's going up it. Is the queue broken? Where does it even go? It is so long. I swear, I mean, I set this up. It came pre-set up, so if there's something wrong with it, it's something to consider fixing to your upload. Oh, weird. What? You could do 2 entrances to a coaster? Say what? So there's an entrance here right by the exit, and there's an entrance here, but they're getting stuck. I didn't know you could do multiple entrances, multiple queues for a coaster. That's really cool. So we're learning something new every single episode, you guys. I try to bring you guys something new. Let's ride Def Leppard the coaster. We're gonna throw it in a test mode because it's straight up just not working, right? Oh, I don't know if I want to be doing this at night anymore. All right, let's check it out. A massive lift on this, and we do have some music. Not quite Def Leppard music, though. Okay, here we go. The coasters are so smooth. They even sound smooth. It's quite wild how nice the coaster editor is in Planet Coaster 2. Passing through the inversion there. I quite like that. How fast was this coaster going? Max speed 124 kilometers. I don't know what it is about Planet Coaster 2, but I feel like it doesn't simulate the speed as well as it did in Planet Coaster. But it looks like it's going pretty good there, right? Let's check this one out in cinematic, maybe. Let's see what this is like. All right, off we freaking go. Ooh, look at these shots. Look how good the park looks there. Wow. Oh, beautiful shots of the inversions there. Loop-de-loop. Nice. Looking good. So I will bring this up again or mention this. I don't know if I've mentioned this. Part of the feedback I've gave previously. Another thing I would like to look for going forward in terms of checking those boxes is like pushing that theming, right? I think because it's at the time of me recording this, the game's only been out for like a few days, and these are the first ever coasters ever made in Planet Coaster. But we have seen in previous videos people really pushing that theming, really people pushing the coaster layouts in the time that they've spent with the game, the minimal amount of time. But I figured for the first bit, like there's gonna be a lot of, you know, unthemed coasters or coaster layouts, which I'm fine with in the early days. But going forward, we're gonna want to see more and more and more of that theming. So that'll definitely be one of the things I'm looking for. You know, if you're sending me a coaster layout, unless it's like the most incredible coaster layout that I've ever seen that's using trick tracks and switches, switch tracks and tons of triggers and different things like that, I probably would rather look at another creation that has put a little bit more effort into the surrounding theme, because that's another aspect of the game that we want to look at, is how did you use that Viking theme, how did you make a fantasy theme out of the pieces that are given in the game, and that sort of thing. So, you know, things I'm going to be looking for going forward, even if you're going to create like a blueprint like this, which is fine, but then have that fencing included, a little bit of realism, some facilities and stuff like that, and really push that interior of the boarding station itself, and then send that in. Yeah, so those are the things I'm looking for going forward. I definitely think our winner here today is going to go to Stunt. I think the coaster layout was quite nice. It's intricate, has a good footprint, a really nice clean boarding station, and a fun queue that takes us through this nice scenic walk into the station. A couple triggered events on the door there, so a lot of effort gone into that. Nice little color scheme as well on the actual coaster track. Easy to place. I would just trim down the trees a little bit, maybe add some fence work. So a lot of features here for the newer builders here today. This is a newer builder spotlight. Couple advanced builders in there as well. Great efforts here from everybody. Great seeing the single rail, how smooth it runs in Planet Coaster 2, and a look at a few of the other coaster types as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's Coaster Spotlight Bundle. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.